freaking lobster. Do I look like I have patience? Can you give me a Chris Evans? He did not say even once, get to the point. Hi everyone, what's up? I hope everything is going great. My name is Cherie, and today I'm back alone because if you guys have been following me on Instagram, you know that the last time Rosie and I recorded, we had some technical difficulties, but more like my brain had some difficulties, okay? I didn't plug the mic in properly and none of the audio got caught. And it was such an interesting episode. We're gonna try to redo it. We're gonna talk about the topic again. Today, I am eating some keto chicken nuggets that I made just this morning. I even made a heart-shaped one. It shows my love for you guys, if you care. So we're gonna save that one for later. And here for the dipping sauce, I have some extra picante hot sauce that I brought back from Mexico, some garlic hot sauce, and Dijon mustard that I made on my own. Honestly, I don't know if the Dijon mustard is still good. I made it like 6 months or a year ago. Okay, but I kept it in an airtight jar. So I'm gonna dig in before I begin with the story. Maybe I should try one without dipping, but no, it tastes like chicken nuggets. I can taste the seasoning that I put in, so I feel like honestly I don't need dipping sauce because the Dijon mustard is kind of taking away from the original flavor of the chicken nuggets. I used some Cajun seasoning, so you can tell that the center of my chicken nuggets are kind of red. It's not completely white, right? I put paprika, Cajun. Anyway, I'm gonna link the recipe down below. And you can see how, I don't know if you guys can see from that far away, but you can see how the crust is coming away from the meat. There's actual breading forming, like real chicken nuggets, but these are keto. And of course, I made it in an air fryer. I didn't fry it. They taste absolutely just like the real thing. I don't know why I would go to McDonald's ever again. The garlic hot sauce. Can you hear me chewing? The garlic hot sauce, amazing, amazing. Actually, the garlic hot sauce, I think I bought it in the US. I found the store that's just selling a bunch of hot sauce. Okay, they sell nothing else but hot sauce, and they have this shelf with a skull marked on it with hot sauce that you cannot even taste test because they are too spicy. Like if you want to taste test them, you have to tell someone that is working at the store because they don't want you to just like taste test it and die on your own, right? They want to make sure that you have been warned that it's super spicy. And when you taste test other hot sauce, they give you this tiny spoon and they give you a spoonful of hot sauce, right? But not this one. You can only taste test them with a toothpick. Like they would put a little tiny toothpick into the hot sauce bottle and you can taste test that because it's that spicy. So I have one bottle, which is not the one that I'm using as dipping sauce today, but that one is honestly the only hot sauce that I've ever found spicy. The first time I used it, I was like, this is insane. They were exaggerating, right? I taste tested it. It wasn't that bad because I only had a little. Most hot sauce have like an opening and you can pour hot sauce out of it. But no, that one had a little dot in the center and you have to shake it out like you would salt and pepper because they're really afraid that you're gonna use too much and you're gonna die. So the first time I used it, I was like, ugh, why is there this thing here preventing me from having more hot sauce, right? So I shook that thing. I put like 10, 20 shakes. I had 5 milliliters of hot sauce in that pasta. I was making pasta. After I ate the pasta, I was dying. I couldn't hear. My ear was ringing. I was sweating. And you never see anything get me like that, okay? You've never seen anything spicy like that. I eat nuclear noodles like it's made of cheese, but not that hot sauce. I'll show you guys that hot sauce sometime. The chicken nuggets go really well with the extra picante hot sauce as well. I just felt like I love Dijon mustard, but I just feel like it doesn't particularly go well with these chicken nuggets. It's too strong on its own. Like, it just tastes like I'm eating Dijon mustard, right? But if you like Dijon mustard, maybe try doing that. But I just feel like all the seasoning I did for the chicken nuggets have gone to waste. And I know this doesn't look like a whole lot of chicken nuggets, right? But this is 250 grams of chicken breast, so I just made really massive and thick chicken nuggets, so it doesn't look like a lot. Okay, I could have made tiny ones and made a bunch to make it look better on camera, but you know I'm lazy. Because if you make a bunch, you have to shape it a bunch of times and bread it a bunch of times. And do I look like I have patience? Aries has been very worried about my safety. After I did the murder for a fuckboy case, I'll link it below if you're interested. He said, are you honestly going to be talking about someone on the internet who has already murdered someone? Okay, so if they've already murdered someone, the bar for them murdering again is lower than a first-time offender. They are more likely to recidivate, right? At least that's what he thinks. I have no idea if it's true. I've only studied the recidivism rate of sex offenders, which is really high, by the way. So he was telling me, are you honestly gonna go on the internet, talk about someone who is free right now, living in the same country as you, who has already murdered someone, and talk about how terrible their crime was? It's like you're asking to get murdered. I'm like, oh, you're right. And then I tried to talk about my worst dating experience, which is not better. I honestly think it's probably easier for people who have dated me to find me and murder me if they don't like what I'm saying about them on the internet. Even though I never reveal the identities of the people that I'm talking about, right? Today's story is much safer, okay? Today's story is fictional, but I find it very, very interesting. It's from a Korean TV show called Fantasy Tower, and from what I have seen of it, it's a lot like Korean Black Mirror. I don't know why Netflix stopped making Black Mirror. It's so good. And they just start making a bunch of really weird shows that I don't want to watch. Like, started making a lot of feel-good teen rom-coms, which, I mean, I love them. I love a good rom-com. I love Hallmark movies. It's fine that they're super predictable. Sometimes they're fun to watch, but sometimes I just want to watch something that is unsettling, something that teases my brain, and this is the show. This is the show. Each episode, I believe, has 2 short stories. Basically, like if you would think Black Mirror, and each episode would be 2 episodes, but shorter. This one is a very famous episode called The Prison. So the story starts in court. In court, you see a guy, and we're gonna call him Daniel, or Dan, because when I saw this guy, not that I think Dans and Daniels are evil, even though I have had bad experience with people named Dan. That's not why I call him Dan, okay? I just looked at the actor and his hairstyle, and I'm just like, oh, he looks like a Daniel. Do you ever get that? He looks like a Daniel. So Daniel is in court, and he is convicted for torturing and murdering 17 little girls. He's not a pedophile. It's not for sexual purposes. He just enjoys murdering them, okay? He was killing and torturing them for pleasure. Because of human rights, they said, we cannot sentence him to death. We're gonna give him a life sentence. All of the family members are absolutely devastated. They think that he's a heartless killer. He deserves the death penalty, right? They want him gone. But then they said, no, human rights is what they said in court in this show. Okay. This guy goes to prison. The prison guard was not really mean to him. And as soon as he walks into his prison cell, he opens the door. It's an apartment. Okay, it's not a cell with nothing but a bed and a potty. No, it's a full-on apartment with a tiny kitchen, a dining area, a living room, a bed. There are no windows. You can't see outside. But aside from that, it's a really good apartment, or like a 5-star hotel. Okay, family style hotel room. He was confused. He looks at the guard and the guard shows him around. He walks to the living room, and he saw that on the living room wall, there's a huge piece of calligraphy that is framed, and written in Korean, it says, human rights first. He's really angry. He grabs the calligraphy and he smashes it. Okay, he thinks that they're fucking with him. But he spends a night in his cell, this fancy apartment cell. I'm just gonna call it an apartment, okay? He spends a night in this fancy apartment, and the guard comes back with his food. The guard comes back with a freaking steak, a restaurant quality steak, okay? $100 piece of steak. And he thinks, okay, there's something wrong with this. I think they're fucking with me. I think this is poison. So he grabs the trash can and he dumps it all in. He doesn't eat a thing. Then the guard comes back again, this time with lobster. Okay, freaking lobster. I'm allergic to seafood, so I'm not freaking out about this. But it's a freaking lobster, okay? I don't eat them, but I know that they're expensive. The guard comes back with a freaking lobster. The guy, once again, thinks, this is definitely poisoned. Why are you fucking with me? He jumps in the trash can, starts yelling at the guard, and the guard pushes him, makes him sit down. He picks up the trash can, and he starts eating the lobster out of the trash can. And he tells Dan, this is a human rights prison. We put human rights first. Everything that we do here is to protect the human rights of prisoners. Daniel sees the guard eating out of the trash can. He's like, okay, so it's not poisoned, right? And the guard tells him, from now on, whatever you want to eat, you can just order it. Just tell us. There's a phone over there on your wall that you can use to contact us at any time. So Daniel is kind of suspicious at first, but he starts getting used to it. Life is good, okay? He starts eating all this fancy food, living in this fancy apartment for free. When I got to this part, I was like, damn, I gotta go commit some crimes. And it gets better. One day the guard comes in with a beautiful woman, this beautiful young woman that's totally out of Daniel's league, okay? And he said, I'm gonna leave this woman here for the day because we want prisoners to have interactions between different genders. We want them to have a sex life, okay? Is basically what the guard is saying. We want you guys to have romantic possibilities. I want you guys to be getting laid. Damn. Where can I find a prison like that? It's like Casa Amor. Do you guys watch Love Island? Anyway, I'm obsessed with Casa Amor. By the way, if you guys don't know, Love Island is a dating show. Casa Amor is a part where when everyone is already kind of in stable couples and they would separate the guys and the girls and bring in new guys and new girls and they're all super hot and see who's gonna cheat, see who cracks on. Because they're British, okay? They say crack on. They don't say get along. Anyway, he doesn't believe this, of course. He's still suspicious. He's used to this fancy apartment life. But what is this? You're giving me a chick? You're giving me a chick? No, it's suspicious, right? So he tries to strangle the woman, right? He strangles the woman. He says, what do you want? What are you trying to do here? Why are you here? You better tell me or I'm gonna kill you. When he was about to strangle the woman to death, the guard comes in, zaps him, he knocks out. The next thing that we see, he wakes up, he's in bed, he's handcuffed, okay? This is the first time that he has ever been handcuffed in this prison. The woman is in the corner. The woman slowly walks towards him and starts explaining herself. She said, she is in prison because she killed her husband. Well, her ex-husband. Her ex-husband was abusive and beat her all the time. One day she couldn't take it anymore and she stabbed him to death. So now she's in prison for murder. They sit down at the dining table. There's food. It's like family style food, okay? And the man tries to eat. But because his hands are handcuffed together, it was very difficult for him. The woman starts feeding him and says, you gotta eat so that you have energy. So he thinks, well, shit, this woman doesn't seem like she's gonna kill me or anything. She seems really nice. And I don't know if he's thinking this, right? But she killed basically in self-defense. But he murdered 17 little girls for fun. I think if anyone should be afraid here, it should be her. And he's also twice the size of this young, beautiful woman. This really pretty girl, she looks like a Stephanie. Let's call her that. Daniel and Stephanie start getting along, and they start developing a romantic relationship. So every day, the guard will bring Stephanie to Daniel's cell, and at night, the guard will take Stephanie back to her cell to sleep. One day, finally, the guard comes in and tells them the best news ever. Stephanie, you no longer have to go back to your cell ever again. You're just going to stay here and live with Daniel. They're both ecstatic, okay? They found true love in prison. They actually even get married. They had this tiny ceremony, and the prison guard held the ceremony for them. So now they're married, and soon Stephanie gets pregnant. Daniel was over the moon, okay? He found the purpose of life. He made a tiny family in his prison cell. This is a really big ass chunk of chicken nugget. So, Daniel's taking care of Stephanie. They're having a great time every day. And finally, it was time for Stephanie to give birth. Stephanie was in pain. She was in labor. She was screaming. They roll her into the medical chamber. She starts giving birth. Daniel was not allowed to go in because it was a difficult birth, and she's having a lot of trouble. They needed all of the medical staff there. Daniel is just gonna get in the way. So Daniel is waiting outside the door. He was looking in this tiny window. He's so nervous. He's scared for Stephanie, and he's also so excited. He's gonna have a baby. Finally, Stephanie gives birth, and the prison guard comes out with the baby and hands it over to Daniel. And Daniel is so happy. He's a father now. You can't even tell that he was a murderer. He's like a brand new person with a heart, okay? He's a human being now. He's holding his lovely son. And at this point, I don't know what you guys are thinking, but I'm thinking, well, interesting. I would feel like it's a little bit unfair, but it is a good way to rehabilitate prisoners. I mean, if they now have a family, if they now know love, and if they ever get out, they're never gonna commit a crime again. They know the joy of having love, they know the joy of having a family and having children, right? Well, that's what I was thinking. I don't know, what do you guys think? Leave it in the comments below. If you get it right, you get a star. I don't know, I have nothing. Sorry, I'm broke. Daniel's holding this baby boy. He goes into the medical chamber, wants to see Stephanie. He wants to show Stephanie their son. Stephanie is lying there, but it was a difficult birth, and Stephanie died. So Daniel is completely shattered, okay? The love of his life, his wife just died, giving birth to his son. He screamed at Stephanie. He said, "You can't die. You haven't even seen our son. You haven't even held our son." But it was too late. She died from birth complications. So Daniel is very, very upset. He's not himself. He doesn't want to eat. He's just depressed. And the prison guard came and told him, "You can't be like this. You gotta pull yourself together for your son. Okay, you still have a son. You gotta raise him, right? Now that Stephanie's gone, you gotta raise him alone. You gotta be a good dad. You gotta be both dad and mom. You can't be not eating. You need energy." So Daniel was like, "Yeah, you're right. I have a son to live for. I'm gonna be the best version of myself. I'm gonna do everything that I can to raise the son." And one day Daniel wakes up, his son was crying, won't stop. And he picks him up and he realized his son was having a fever. So he needs to get a doctor. He doesn't know what to do. He goes over to the phone on the wall. He starts trying to call for help. He tries to get the prison guard because his son is sick. He needs a doctor. But it's the middle of the night, so no matter how much he calls, nobody picks up. And he's crying. He's desperate. He's clutching onto his son, crying while he keeps trying to dial the phone. Then the camera cuts to another room. And the prison guard is standing there looking at a TV, and there's CCTV footage, the security camera showing Daniel clutching his son by the phone, desperate, and crying. Around the prison guard sat all of the family members of Daniel's victims. And the family members said, "That's not punishment enough." The prison guard nodded, he pushes a button, and Daniel's son goes quiet. Daniel's son just died in his arm. Daniel is hysterical. He starts crying. He starts banging on the door. He's getting the phone. He doesn't want to live anymore. He has nothing to live for. He wants to die. He wants to kill himself. He's begging. He's screaming at the phone, "Just kill me too." And it turns out this whole thing was his punishment. Stephanie was not a fellow prisoner. She was a beautiful AI robot that they built specifically for this purpose. They made Daniel fall in love with her, develop a relationship with her, have an AI child with her. And then they took it all away to make Daniel feel the pain that his victims' families felt. And that's the whole story. It's so fascinating because this is a huge controversial issue in Korea. In Korea, they very rarely give out the death penalty. They very rarely even give out life sentences. A lot of criminals that commit crimes against women and children get off very easily. And if they would claim that they were drunk when they did it, they have diminished responsibility because they were not at full capacity. So they get an even lighter sentence. Okay, and a lot of people are unhappy with this. There's even a movie called Hope, which is based on a real case that happened in Korea, where a man brutally assaults an 80-year-old little girl. He literally drags out all of her intestines, and she's left unable to control her own bowels for the rest of her life. She had to have a tube and a bag on her side because her excrement would constantly be coming out of her. And he said that he was drunk. He got 12 years in prison for this heinous crime. So when he got out, the girl is just 20. He got out in 2020, I believe, and he lives 3 minutes away from the little girl. So the little girl's father actually came out and said, the human rights of these criminals are protected, but what about the victims? The victims are forced to go into hiding. Because the only thing stopping from even going closer to the little girl is he has an ankle monitor. That's all. But the police is not going to get here in time if you see that he just went 3 minutes away from his home. It's worse than a restraining order. A restraining order, at least he can't even live 3 minutes away from you. So it actually makes a lot of sense that a Korean TV show would cover an issue like this. So I think it's a really, really interesting episode. It's a really cool idea. I've always thought that there are some criminals out there that really deserve the worst punishment ever, and that the death penalty or life imprisonment is just not enough. At first, I was just kind of like, what the fuck? Why is he getting all of this good treatment? How do I get into a human rights prison, please? Can you give me a Chris Evans? But it made a lot of sense towards the end. It felt really cruel, but at the same time, there's a small part of me that's like, yeah, he freaking deserved it. I would want this done to my... Ooh, I still have so many chicken nuggets. Okay, let's go into a second story. This second story is also kind of like a Black Mirror, but it's an old Japanese TV show. There are 3 seasons, and it came out in 1990 was the first season. It's really before its time because it's a lot like Black Mirror, but it's not that high tech. Some of them are a little bit paranormal, but I think most of them are really, really creative. There are over 200 episodes or such. Some of them are great, some of them not so great, right? The paranormal ones I don't really enjoy that much because some of them are just really scary, but not that thought-provoking. This one is a really interesting story, and I told Aries about it because it's in Japanese. We can't really watch the show together. We hate reading subtitles while watching a show that is in a different language because we read at different speed, and I would be really annoyed. So I would start reading out the subtitles in English, right? But sometimes I get so annoyed, I stop doing the intonation, and I'm just reading all of the subtitles like this, and it really kills the mood because it takes away from the show, right? And let me tell you, when I tell him a story, he gets annoyed because I never get to the point. You guys watch my videos, you know. I go on 500 tangents when I tell a story. But when I told him this story, he was silent. He did not interrupt even once. He did not say even once, get to the point. He loved it. He thought this was a super cool episode. The story is about a guy. I'm gonna call him Steve. So Steve is sitting at home, just going through his phone, and suddenly he finds this website, this app for a delivery service. It's like Uber Eats, it's like Postmates, it's like Lala Move. But it doesn't just deliver food. It has this box. You don't check for stuff. You don't look for stores that work with them. No, you just put in whatever you want. You type in whatever you want. It's like an open-ended question. And you pay for it. There's also 800 Japanese yen for the delivery fee. And whatever it is that you order, it'll arrive in 2 seconds. He's like, 2 seconds? Come on. It takes longer to even climb up the stairs to my apartment. I don't believe it. He orders 2 cheeseburgers, he pushes the button, pays for it, and 2 seconds later his doorbell rings. He opens the door and there's this pretty young girl with a delivery package and gave him his cheeseburger. He takes out the cheeseburger from the bag, he's studying it. There doesn't seem like there's anything wrong with it. And while Steve was studying these burgers, his wife Stacy gets out of the shower, walks out, sees the food, sits down, and just starts eating. And he was staring at her and he asked, is there anything weird about these cheeseburgers? And Stacy was like, no, what are you talking about? It's normal McDonald's cheeseburgers that we always get. So Steve tells Stacy, would you believe me if I told you that this was delivered to our place in 2 seconds? She doesn't believe him. So she starts ordering some makeup products. Pays the 800 yen a delivery fee. And in 2 seconds, the doorbell rings again. The same pretty little girl shows up with all of her makeup products. So they're shocked. Once the girl leaves, they open the door again, but they don't see the girl. And they see that the light on the hallway outside of their apartment is on. So there's light outside, but they remember when the little girl came and delivered the item, it was completely pitch black behind her. So they believed that this is something that comes from a different dimension. They start trying to deliver all kinds of stuff with this app. So they tried, can I deliver cash? They tried delivering $200 million to themselves. But the app says you have to pay $200 million and 800 yen. So you can't really deliver cash. You gotta pay for it. Then they tried delivering I don't know if you guys watch Doraemon. In Doraemon, there's this transporter, there's this door that you can open and you can just go anywhere. So they said, okay, deliver me this Doraemon transporter door. And the app said, no, you have to deliver something that actually exists. The girl had a dog before, so she said, I want my dog, and it was free, but she had to pay 800 yen for the delivery, right? Then came a bottle, and inside were the ashes of her dog, because she had this dog 15 years ago, and it already died. Then she punched in, I want the Pomeranian that I had from 15 years ago. And once again, it's free, but you have to pay for the delivery. The delivery girl shows up in 2 seconds and she's with a baby Pomeranian, which is the dog that Stacy had 15 years ago. So now they realize you can also deliver items from the past. Now Stacy is in tears. Stacy has something, or rather someone, that she really wants to have delivered. Stacy puts in, I want my mother, I want my healthy mother from 2 years ago to be delivered, because Stacy's mother passed away a year ago from health complications. But the sum was really high. It was like a couple $1 million plus the delivery fee. So they figured out that if you want to deliver a person, you gotta pay whatever this person made in their entire life. Well, what if I deliver a live person, someone who's alive? So they tried delivering a superstar. And it was like billions this time, plus delivery fee. They looked up how much the person is worth. So if you're going to deliver a live person who is also really famous, you gotta pay double of what they are worth, plus delivery fee. So they try all these weird stuff, and then one day they realize they can deliver each other because they are married, so they belong to each other. They can deliver each other for free, they just have to pay the delivery fee. Steve works from home, right? And every day when Stacy gets off work, she had to take the bus and get home on her own, and she has to go through all this traffic. So every night when Stacy gets off work, she would tell Steve, and Steve would deliver her home, and all they have to pay is 800 yen delivery fee, and the pretty girl would take Stacy home. It's always the same delivery person. They're doing this, they're enjoying life, they're loving it. They would go travel to different countries, and they would only have to buy one plane ticket because one person would fly there, go there first, and then deliver the other person there. All right, so they only have to pay for one person's travel plus 800 yen delivery fee. One day, it was Steve and Stacy's wedding anniversary. Steve got all of these ingredients delivered, and he made an amazing candlelit dinner at home, and he was waiting for Stacy to come back to enjoy and celebrate. Stacy gets off work and calls him, but Stacy says, "No, I want to eat out. I want to go out to a fancy restaurant." So they start arguing. They cannot reach a consensus. At the same time, both of them goes to the app and tries to deliver each other to them. But because they placed the order at the same time, they were both grabbed into this other dimension where the delivery people are, and they bump into each other in a dark space. And they look around, there are doors everywhere, but none of the doors lead out. And they can't deliver themselves outside. You can only deliver things to where you are. They opened one of the doors, found a room, and they delivered everything they have at home into this dark space, and they started living there. And because Steve worked from home, he worked online, so he was still making money. They would just get food and daily necessities delivered in, and they were living in darkness. But Stacy got fired. Stacy doesn't have a job at this point, right? Because she can't go to the office. And finally, Steve got a brilliant idea. He got divorce papers and came up to Stacy and said, "Here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna divorce me, and I'm gonna find a girl online and marry her, then ask her to deliver me out. Then I'm gonna divorce her, marry you again, and then I can deliver you out." Stacy says no. Stacy throws the divorce papers in his face, right? Stacy says, "No, what if you go out and you forget about me and you don't deliver me out, and I just stay in here forever on my own, alone?" And Steve was like, "Okay, well, but then we don't have any other options. Please just think about it, just think about it." And Stacy just goes to sleep. Stacy ignores him, and Steve goes to sleep. But then Steve wakes up and he realizes Stacy is gone. Stacy is gone. He is all alone inside. He can't find her anywhere, and he calls Stacy, and Stacy said, "Well, if you're going to get into a romantic relationship, you should find someone rich. I found an old rich guy who is willing to pay all of the money that I've made in my entire life plus 800 yen a delivery fee to get me out of here. He got me out of here, and now I am marrying him." Steve is freaking out. Steve is like, whoa, 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 wait, before you do that, deliver me out first, right? Get me out of here. Then you go ahead and run away with this old guy if you want, whatever. Stacy said no. So Steve is like, no, then I'm gonna deliver you back in with me. And the moment that he pressed the button to get Stacy delivered back in, it was too late because Stacy had already divorced him. So now he had to pay the sum of whatever Stacy made in her entire life plus 800 yen, and he could not afford that. So Stacy divorces him, and Stacy marries this old rich guy. And after getting married to this old rich guy, they still continue enjoying the convenient delivery service. And Steve stays inside, continues working his stay-at-home job. One day he couldn't take it anymore. He's all alone in the dark. He's going crazy. That's not how humans cannot stay in isolation for that long. When the delivery girl comes with his food, he grabs her foot and said, please, 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 get me out of here. Tell me how I can get out of here. And the delivery girl said, if you want to get out of here, there's only one way. And the next scene cuts to Stacy and the old guy. They ordered something on this delivery service. 2 seconds later, the doorbell rings. Stacy opens the door, and in front of her stands a familiar face. It was Steve, and with this signature weird smile that all of these delivery people have. He hands her her package, and Steve leaves. And that's the end of the episode. Stacy got out, and Steve becomes a delivery guy. I think it's a really cool story, and it's really creepy. I don't know what I would do if I got my hands on service like that. 800 yen a delivery fee for just like 2 seconds of instant delivery. Would you guys use it? Leave it in the comments. I think it's totally worth it because 800 yen is what? 200 NT. And if I'm really in a hurry to get something, I would totally pay 200 NT to have it arrive in 2 seconds. Because I would pay, you know, if you would order something on the internet and you get it delivered to your place, sometimes the shipping is 200 NT. And it doesn't even come in 2 seconds, it comes in 24 hours. So this is the last piece. I'm gonna be having my heart-shaped chicken nugget now. Well, it tastes the same. It doesn't taste different just because it's heart-shaped. But I'm gonna say it tastes better because it's made with love. But yeah, also I think if I have this delivery service, right, I would for sure have my dead dog delivered to me alive. What I'm thinking is, how much am I willing to pay for my dead dog to be delivered to me alive? Like 800 yen for sure. How high can it go? I'm just thinking $30,000 maybe. I think I would pay it in a heartbeat just to have my dog back. Like, how much does that have to be? Because if I'm broke, then I can't really afford to raise my dog anymore either. So I don't know, how much would I give? Let me know if you guys have any pets that has already passed away. How much would you pay for them to come back to you? What would you do if you had this delivery service? I'd probably make a pact with my partner, with whoever I'm married to. Like, hey, we cannot deliver the other person without the other person's consent. I don't know, but does a pact like that actually work when you're having a fight, right? That's the whole premise. If you're fighting, I guess, sometimes promises get thrown out of the window. I think both shows were super interesting. I loved both episodes. That's why I wanted to share it with you guys. And comment down below, which story did you enjoy more? And what would you like to see me eat, or what would you want me to talk about next? Also, did you see where it was going with the first story? Did you see where it was going? Because I did not see where it was going. If you saw where it was going, comment down below. You got 1 star. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked the video, definitely hit the like button. 1 like is 1 chicken nugget. Other than that, if you're interested in having some healthy keto chicken nuggets that's air fried, check the link down below for the recipe. This is honestly super delicious. It tastes just like regular chicken nuggets. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more of this weird English teaching mukbang storytime show. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!